So today I'm going to show you how I restore this awesome Gretsch Southern Belle guitar. I purchased a lot of 10 of them from Julian's Auctions. They were from the family estate. They went for sale last year about this time, and I really lucked out. I thought I got the pick of the auction. I got 10. I sold a bunch of them. I still got 3 for sale, 2 that require a little bit more work, 1 that just needs a finish. You can see those in the link below on my website if you want to purchase these. This is new old stock guitars. These guitars sound outstanding. I am so happy with the way this turned out. These guitars were assembled in the USA, built in the USA, and then assembled in Mexico. So you've got the hollow body maple plates being put together on a massive press. I think they were based out of Arkansas is where these were made originally, and then all the parts were shipped down. A nice nitro finish on this one. All it really needed was a fretboard repair. There was a crack running through the fretboard here. I thought I was going to have to yank off the fretboard and sort of reconfigure the guitar. It has a 0 nut, and so I thought I was going to have to sort of rebuild the way that all of this sat. Luckily, in applying super glue, clamping it, sanding it, looked good. So let's get in the video and show you guys how I restored this. So here's the fretboard crack. Beautiful fretboard. So we're going to have to pull the frets and refret the fretboard, sand it down, level it down, put some super glue in that crack. I am using, I think, Husk fret pullers. It's a real slow process. You want to heat up the fret. I'm using the StewMac fret iron. They've got a special tip that sort of wraps around the fret and it heats it up. That allows to break the glue and slowly pull it up. So it's like a sort of a heat up the fret, slowly get those tips under the edge of the fret like so, and it's just a slow back and forth process to pull it up. Lucky enough here that I didn't get much chip out. So I've got the StewMac sanding beam here, 12-inch radius. And we're just going to sand this down so I can see what the crack looks like a little bit better. Just a slow back and forth process to level it down, see what I'm working with. Clean off the frets. Make sure you vacuum after a couple of minutes each time. That way you don't build up too much on the sandpaper and into those fret slots. And then we're going to come back with some super glue here. This is Glue Boost. That fret on the top had a little bit of pull out, so we add some glue there. We're going to clamp on the sides to make sure that the fretboard then is tight. I probably could have put a clamp on the top and pushed it down. I just didn't want the board then to stick too bad. I have a couple clamping plates. Here we're cleaning out the fret slots so I don't get too much super glue in the fret slots themselves. One interesting thing is the fret slots on this were 0.018 and the StewMac frets are 0.023 and ran into a little bit of an issue. So we let that dry for about 3 or 4 days and we came back with a shorter sanding beam to go over that spot specifically. Again, we start with 80 grit. And we work our way up to 320. Change out the papers. And then we clean out the fret slots. Widen them out a little bit. This StewMac fret cleaning saw is really helpful. Little bit of problem as I'm getting to the frets where the glue was, a little bit more work. Make sure you don't get off track from the original fret slot. And I'm using an X-Acto knife to break up a little bit of the glue. This is then the 320 grit. And we're going to fret. So I actually fretted and set up the frets twice. It's the first time I went through, sized them up, and realized as I pushed the first fret down that the fret slots were too small and the frets were actually binding in that slot. So this is the first one I put in. I put in a little bit of glue, got my arbor, press it down, and I did 2 more after this, and they just didn't go down right. And they were binding in the slot. I didn't really understand what was going on until I got a feeler gauged and realized that those fret slots were just too small. So I went on to BigdGuitars, their website, and bought smaller fret slots for a vintage instrument. So we ended up refretting those first 3 frets, and then I repressed them all in. We went with BigdGuitars 0.018 frets, gold. We leveled them down, and then we're going to start polishing this up. So this guitar was finished in nitro, I guess 35 years ago, 40 years ago. These were built in the early 80s. And this one is just sat, so there's a lot of checking in the lacquer already. And I didn't have to do any repairs other than in one spot up towards the neck heel where I pressed down on the frets and it slipped. So I used some lacquer to clean it up. This is Acelic's dry sanding finish paper. So we do 600, 800, 1200, 1500. And then we take this over to my buffer, move the buffer out of the shop into the back corner of the basement, and we're going to polish this sucker up. I've got some fine compound here, and really the old lacquer turned out nice. Even with the checking in a couple spots, I still got it polished up. On this buffer, I actually put a foot switch on, so I can step on the foot switch without worrying about having it plugged in. Really helpful. Stabilize this buffing machine, works great. One of my earlier videos, probably 15 years ago, just was making so much noise, and now I've got it set up to the floor joists up for the first floor. Beautiful looking guitar, nice dark walnut stain, no issues. You can see the Bigsby holes. Really had a huge problem trying to find the right bridge for this. I bought 4 different gold bridges, and it's interesting, I have to fit a modern bridge to some degree to a vintage instrument and couldn't find it. So you'll see in the video when I'm playing, the bridge isn't set up right. I don't have the height adjustment on it. The action's just slightly high, but the guitar plays amazing. So we went with TV Jones pickups, and we had to make some custom mounts. So did that in my CNC program. Tested it on some walnut, used that little bit from Stu Mack to route out the insides after I did a test case. They look right. We're going to use some awesome flame maple from Kimball Hardwoods. Sanded down the pickups so they fit the top. And then we finished the pickup mount rings in some velvet oil.
and just beautiful. So we then went down to the basement and wired this guitar up. Like I said, TV Jones pickups, a Veritone switch, and a volume, and then I put coil splits on the sides and had to fish all of this through. A lot of work, took a while to get this right, had to fish a couple of times. So go back live in video here and give you a demo.
So the final assembly I didn't film because it took so long. Fishing these through took like an hour. Different wires, different fishes. I had to run the bridge ground from the Bigsby to the outlet, to the output. Was a little weird. The bridge, I'm fitting vintage guitar to modern parts, and this still needs to be sanded down just slightly. I don't have the thumb rollers in here. The action is still a little bit high, but surprisingly the guitar plays awesome and I love it. I went with Kluson locking tuners. I think I'm gonna actually swap these out. I bought the wrong brand. I don't remember if they were Grover on here, but I'm gonna use that screw. I didn't screw these down. I just went with what I had. This is an ebony fretboard with side dots, the custom side dots that they use. Really nice, old Perloid. The pickup mount rings were critical. They had already drilled the spacing for these, and they're wider than normal pickup mounts. So I went through, like you saw in the video, and made a custom mount, and I used these beautiful flame maple rings with maple from Kimball Hardwoods. The TV Jones corners are 1/4 inch. So I had to do that to get it right, but just a little flair based on what I've got. I put pickup splits in here. I don't remember what the original wiring had, but I put coil taps in here, a gold pickup selector, my Veritone, and then a volume switch. The truss rod is one of these really weird worm-driven truss rods, and it needs a special tool, and that tool is not available anymore. So I found these special screwdriver heads that get in there and just, I can make really fine adjustments. On the new truss rods today, you know, you can do a 1/4 turn and pull back the fretboard to get the action set right. This one you have to do like 8 turns to get there. I've got to make a cap out of plastic that fits here. Maybe I'll use the same flame maple and just get it to fit. That's what covers this up. The patina on this thing is amazing. The lacquer started to check in a certain number of spots, and so I sanded and buffed them out, and I thought it might peel off some of the finish, but it didn't. So it really turned out beautifully. When I was fretting, I did push in a little bit here and it slipped and it bit. So I had to use some lacquer to fill that in. It's a 2-piece neck, and this one has a little maple strip or a little walnut strip running through. Beautiful walnut finish. Little cloudy right here. I don't know why that is, but I've been playing this with this already and sort of beating it up a little bit, but just beautiful coloring. This new old stock, I just, it sounds amazing. I'm really, really happy with the way this guitar turned out. TV Jones, Filtertron pickups. I went with Powertrons, and they sound outstanding. Those were $300. The bridge was $50. Man, the Bigsby at my cost was $170. These are really expensive, but what's so awesome is that they lined up perfectly to what was drilled. So a testament to Bigsby holding their design. Gold frets. It's going to be impossible to play based on the size, but we'll give you a couple riffs. All right, so I'm not going to run through the Veritone. That's available on my website, but we'll run through the pickups. This is the neck, not tapped. Bridge sounds outstanding. Tap it. Sounds a little bit softer, a little bit more stratty, but not too much. I don't know if I wanted to switch out the wiring here. Same thing for the neck. I hope someone would offer me like $1 million for it because I need some cash in the pocket. But if you like guitar related content, please comment, like, and subscribe. Love doing this type of work. Love bringing old guitars back to life. So thanks for watching, guys. We will see you in the next video.